back in the day, the races stopped earlier and you had a longer off season.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't say that, dude. Like, obviously, I'm on a different schedule, but I'm like, why would you say?
Yeah, you didn't even go race outdoors last year.
No, why would you say this was a long off season? This was like the shortest ever in general. So
you've had some pretty gnarly injuries with, like, throughout your career, like career-ending injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how hard was it coming back from that? And then, did you think you would win again?
So 2017, obviously, when I did my left arm, right, that was by
San
far.
Diego?
Yeah,
Or was that
A2,
Anaheim?
A2, yeah. That was by far the gnarliest. And I really, really secluded myself from the sport a lot during that time because there was a lot of unknown, right? Like, I
Didn't know
crashed,
what was going to happen.
Yeah, and honestly, the first 4 weeks that I was in the hospital, that time is a full blur. Like, I remember bits and pieces, but you're pumped full of medication and everything. Like,
that was a gnarly crash.
It really was, yeah. And right at that moment, I didn't want anything to do with dirt bikes. I didn't know if I was going to keep my arm. Never mind racing. You know what I mean?
Steve was just in here and they were talking about, like, oh yeah, we might amputate this thing, and he's like, we're getting him on a plane and we're taking him somewhere else. Like,
yeah, it was no joke. And like I said, it was all a blur. Like, I don't remember a whole lot of details. But at that point, I was so far out from riding, practicing, doing what I do, that I really was like, you know what, I'm going to just take time off. Like, I'm not going to follow the sport right now. And
don't want to see anything to do with it.
Yeah, and it was a little bit of a, once the ball got rolling again, like, I was laying in the grass listening to podcasts, and I flipped the switch, and I was like, you know what, fuck this. Like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to go full fucking board. I'm going to be very vocal about it.
Yep.
Because I feel like that holds me accountable. And that was like the pure mindset that I was in, you know. So that helped me, obviously, getting back to racing.
Having that goal to work for and knowing, like, I'm going to be a badass again.
But honestly, at first, my parents have been separated for a long, long time. They've always had a good relationship. But then once my parents came over, they were still in Europe, right? Like, it's got to be hard to watch your son just
see that on
annihilate
TV.
themselves, you know? Yeah, and they came over, and for a while there, it felt like it was different. We were sitting at the dinner table together. We were having breakfast together. We're going through our days. Like, it just was like
felt like the old days.
Best family feeling that I've had when it comes to my side of the family, besides that I have my own now. But it was the best and most mellow and easygoing. We were on the boat. Like, there wasn't really anything about dirt bikes. It just felt like a normal family that is not in the sport. So that was really refreshing. But the one problem with kind of taking myself out of the sport for a little bit is that when I did start racing again, first off, my arm I felt like still super fragile. Like, that year, it healed for years afterwards, actually, to where it became stronger, more stable and whatnot. So I started racing, and it was very, like, wrist brace, but my elbow was skinny. Like, I just, you know, it was gnarly. Like, I couldn't believe that I was actually, like, starting to race already. But where I was going with taking myself out of the sport for a little bit is that when I started racing again, I felt like I was gone for 5 years. Like, I felt out of it. Like, the week before Anaheim, I was having gnarly butterflies, like adrenaline rushes, and normally we do this year in, year out. I've been there a million times.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, I just started racing and just felt like I had to, like, relearn everything. You know, I just felt like I was gone for longer than what I really was.